ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, okay. I think those who only joined on Sunday. Um, Actually, we are doing this book called Madhurya Kadambini. I suggest that you please hear all the classes. It's very, very important because we were in the middle of some very important discussion. So we decided to continue today also. It's not going to be out of context anyway. It's about how to make progress in bhakti and the various stages and what are obstacles for us on the path of bhakti. So Prabha Prabhu and Shruti Mataji, Vamshi Prabhu, please hear the previous recordings which are on YouTube. There's a playlist called Madhurya Kadambini on my channel, so you can please read or hear all the classes. It's very important. Okay, and yeah, going forward, actually, after this book, I'm thinking that we're going to start all important sections of Bhagavatam. And again, half an hour recording, so you won't miss much, and you can, when you maybe on a Saturday or something, maybe make up for the 5 classes maybe which you would miss during the week if you're not able to attend. If you're able to attend 8:30 to 9, then it will be very nice. Otherwise, just see if you can just hear the recordings.
Sure,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we were second. Yeah. So we were discussing anarthas. Anarthas are unwanted things. Anarthas arising from previous sinful life. Anarthas arising from previous pious life. And then we discussed anarthas arising from aparadha, primarily nama aparadha, and seva aparadha if unattended to or ignored, or if one is careless about seva aparad converts into nama aparad, and nama aparad is the biggest obstacle for us to make progress in bhakti. And then we discuss some of the very important nama aparads. First one is Sadhuninda, Guru Ravagya, understanding Shiva and Vishnu's position. And also we discussed about Aham and Mama, right, which is the 10th offense. And we discussed about how the soul is desiring sense gratification. And that is the reason we are not wanting to come out of this material world. So almost like as an excuse, we've given ourselves an excuse saying that I'm conditioned, I'm stuck, and somewhat not making the required endeavor to push ourselves out of sense gratification. So that was the revelation from Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 24th chapter, or 22nd chapter, I think. So, so I want to just recap that one point because it was was a bit confusing for many. So we are the soul exists in sense gratification. That verse says exists in sense gratification, meaning the soul wants sense gratification. It's a very incompatible situation because the soul doesn't belong to this material world, but still it is trying to get happiness through sense gratification, which is a contaminated state. Right, and because it desires that, now it is covered by contaminated mind, contaminated intelligence. It's like just bad company right now, right? So because soul was contaminated, had this contaminated desire, contaminated in the sense because of the desire to enjoy sense gratification away from Krishna. It is now in the company of contaminated mind intelligence and of course false ego. Right? So as the living entity, we should start rejecting sense gratification, knowing that actually when I'm feeling like I want sense gratification, when I'm trying to extract happiness from this material world, we should understand it's just my contaminated companions of subtle body that is actually pushing me. But this is not good for me. This is not good for me because it's going to bind me again, right? So as a soul, we should not feel helpless. We should not feel helpless, and we should say, I don't want this. And we can try. Actually, I've been trying this from yesterday. It seems to be working. um, and actually there's one more verse I was reading yesterday in Bhagavatam. I mean, Bhagavatam is like super powerful, right? There's one more verse which was saying um, that actually, see, this was with respect to Chitraketu, right? In Bhagavatam, there's the story of Chitraketu, right, where he doesn't have he Chitraketu didn't have son, so he was very unhappy. And then Angira Muni comes, and then he gives him a son who is Harsha Shoka, right, who is the source of happiness and distress. And then when he dies, and they're all in distress, and then Angira and Narada Muni come, and they give uh, you know uh, this Atma Gnana, right? And then in that it kind of comes out saying that actually we, we have nothing to do with anything around us. We are simply not belonging to this. We don't belong to this material world, right? But because we want to, we are trying to extract happiness from lower platform of passion and ignorance, right? And that is why all this, material objects, material relations, everything. uh, and it is said that yes, that Narada Muni, by his power, brings that last, the jiva who had given up that body, back into that body, and tells him, here your parents are crying. And then the jiva asking that, which parents? I've taken so many bodies. These parents belong to which body? Or in relation to which body? So literally, we can understand that actually as the soul, I have nothing to do, literally nothing to do with this material world. Mm. And what am I expected to do? Okay, I'm here. Make the best of a bad bargain. Use this body to actually go back to revive our original position. Mhm. So when we are in situation with people, with situations, etc., we should simply understand this has nothing to do with me. This has absolutely nothing to do with me. It's just this body. It's all in connection with this body. Jada Bharat, right? Yeah, actually, it was also Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat says, yeah, you are telling me you're fat, you're thin. I am none of this, right? And simply the whole process. And then I was thinking about this, and I realized the whole process seems to be, can I just be just good to other living beings, right? And which is one of the things that comes out again and again, saying that if we are not compassionate to other living beings, then the Lord is not pleased. If we are hurting other living beings, the Lord is not pleased. So that's all we have to do. Actually, that's the only responsibility we have, and which is why that also becomes part of Jiva Himsa, prevents us from making progress. Right. So apart from that, all relations, responsibilities, all this is superficial. All this is superficial, right? All we can try to do is just be good to all souls around us, right? Good in what way? In just helping them make progress towards Krishna. That's all our primary responsibility is. Everything else is just superficial. And yes, okay, we cannot give up our responsibilities. We can just do as a matter of responsibility. That's all, without attachment. Because I'm not this body at all. Right, so the soul has to give up this desire for trying to extract happiness from this body and things connected with this body, because we have understood, we have experienced that it is only resulting in more and more distress. Right, so when we start moving away from this platform of saying that I don't want sense gratification, I don't want gratification on the platform of this senses material. I want to be happy, yes, because Atma is Ananda. But that can happen only in connection with Krishna. So we can somewhat get isolated from our surroundings. This seems to be the what is it? Immunization, vaccination, whatever, right? Like protection from the miserable material world around us. Actually, it's a very deep, which is why I keep saying, Bhagavatam, each and every line is so powerful that we need to just we have to somehow try to introspect, try to meditate on those statements. Just one statement, the soul exists in sense gratification. I'm not able to remove that line at all, that phrase from my mind. The soul exists for sense gratification. As long as the soul exists for sense gratification, we are stuck. Right. So hope if there are any questions, we can discuss it. Right. So we have to come out of this aham and mama because it's just super temporary and not at all good for us. It's just binding us. Okay. I'm just stopping for 2 minutes, see if there are any questions before we move ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Prabhu, many times these getting stuck in sense gratification happens due to forgetfulness that actually it is sense gratification. By the time we come to remember that actually we were doing sense gratification, then regret comes and then we stop. But sometimes we don't realize that we are getting into a trap. By the time we come to know, we are already into that, right? So any tips about always remembering this fact that this that we should be abstaining from sense gratification?
Can you give me an example that where you are getting into it without knowing or without even without the awareness that it's sense gratification, then you realize later.
For example, in the matter of doing duty, sometimes we have to be in a commanding position and we do it, we go into that, and then we realize that actually we instead of doing the service, we are kind of gratifying our sense of being a leader, for example.
Yeah. So okay, so specific. See, fundamentally, actually, one thing that I realize like, time and again is two ways we can keep ourselves more aware, conscious. Right. This is just about being more aware about what we are doing, right, and conscious about what we are doing. Is constant shravanam, like repeatedly. Like Sumandra Mataji keeps saying, you keep talking about this, you keep talking about this. Like, actually, I'm not talking about it. Our acharyas are talking about it. But the point is, like, when it goes and gets stuck in our head, saying that, that same point is being repeated again and again. You keep talking about pure devotional service. You keep talking about, so the point is, what will happen is when this repeatedly keeps, coming into our heads, it'll then raise up above everything, all other garbage that is there out there, and it'll be on the top, right? So we will very quickly start, thinking about these things, becoming more aware of these things as, in a day-to-day life, right? The other thing is when these kind of situations happen again and again, and we repeatedly again and again repent, again that consciousness or that awareness becomes more clear for us, right? As in we tend to then stop forgetting it. We forget mostly when when it happens, infrequently. So it's okay. Initially, maybe, yeah, everybody has their own way of learning. Maybe your way of learning is to be forgetful, repent, remember. Forgetful, repent, remember. Maybe after 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, you will remember before, right? And then see. So awareness is basically is just Shravanam. Just fastest way to learn is Shravanam.
Yes, true.
Okay, and yeah, Shravanam means repeated. It has to keep coming. It has to keep coming. That is why actually, if you see Prabhupada's purport seem repetitive, right? Actually, it's required because otherwise we're going to forget. Right? Prabhupada made sure that any purport you open, it's going to be the same thing highlighting same topics, because like you said, we forget.
Yes, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm just highlighting this fact that while most of us were thinking that we are helplessly stuck here, which is true, but it's also true that if the soul becomes more aware that I don't want sense gratification, then it becomes much easier for us to get out of this cycle. Okay. So that is the important point. Okay. So now the fourth reason, or the fourth anartha, it is mentioned that these anarthas arise from imperfect execution of bhakti. So let me read. Just as, along with the main plant, many weeds grow. By the cultivation of bhakti, there appears acquisition of material wealth and other facilities, worship and respect by others, and fame. By their very nature, they have the power to influence the heart of the devotee and to obscure and restrict the main plant intended for cultivation, bhakti. Uh, so if we perform bhakti imperfectly, then what happens is these weeds, la puja pratishtha, these become prominent, right? So that is what is being mentioned here. Okay, so not much has been spoken. Now this whole section is about nullification of the anarthas. Right now, all these anarthas that have been talked about, how do we get rid of them? Hmm? So this is a very important section. The four types of anarthas mentioned, namely those arising from previous sinful activity, from previous pious activity, from namaparada, and from cultivation of bhakti, have 5 grades of eradication. So this is important. Okay. So there are 5 grades of eradication of all these anarthas. So which means that it doesn't just go away at one shot. Right. So there are 5 grades. And each of them have different stages, right? Like for example, those arising from previous sinful activity will have these five grades happening at different times, different stages. Those arising from pious activity also have different times, stages when these five grades appear. So I'll explain. So first is there are 5 grades. So there is limited, Ekadeshavartini, to one anartha. Then pervasive, affecting many anarthas, meaning in this stage it is limited. The effect of the Anartha Nivrrti is limited to only one anartha. Then as we make more progress, then it becomes more pervasive, more of the same type, right? Say if you're talking about those arising from previous sinful activity, whatever is the process to get rid of it, at one stage, which is called limited, only say one anartha of the many anarthas start to disappear. Then it becomes more pervasive. The process results in more pervasive effect, where many anarthas become affected and they start to vanish. Then is called general, praiki, then complete, and then absolute. Now complete means purna. Now that particular type of anartha is completely gone, but there's a chance to reoccur. It's called complete. But absolute, atyantiki, means there's no chance of reoccurrence. Okay, so there are 5 stages, 5 grades: limited, pervasive, general, complete, and absolute. Now, this is just for information. Now there is discussion about each of these anarthas. Anarthas arising from nama parada are removed in the following stages. Okay, so please note this. So when we talk about anarthas arising from nama parada, with the performance of devotional service, bhajana kriya, there is limited eradication. So when we start this bhajana kriya, right, the anarthas arising from nama parada are eradicated to a limited extent. Okay. Now with the appearance of nishtha, stage of nishtha, the eradication is pervasive, meaning now more of the anarthas arising from nama parada will start getting destroyed. With the appearance of rati or bhava, see, look at this. Bhava, eradication is general, praiki. With the appearance of prema, the eradication is complete. So the anarthas arising. So how difficult these anarthas are? Just imagine from nama parada, right? So bhajana kriya is only limited. Nishtha it becomes pervasive, meaning more anarthas are affected. Bhava, it is general, meaning it's little more cleared. Even with appearance of prema, the stage of prema, it just becomes complete. But there is still a chance of it appearing back. So when does it completely get eradicated? Is when with the attainment of the Lord's lotus feet. Meaning till we attain Lord's lotus feet, the eradication of the anarthas arising from nama parada still continue, still may continue. Right? This is the example of Bharat Maharaj. Now, now there is one clarification which is being given here. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about Chitraketu. Okay. In the case of Chitraketu, who had attained the lotus feet of Lord, he had attained the lotus feet of Lord Sankarsana. He had actually seen Lord Sankarsana. He had attained his lotus feet. So he's an accidental Mahaparada to Shiva, right? He apparently criticized Shiva. It was apparent, not real, since he was endowed with an abundance of prema. This is proven by the fact that he did not distinguish between his form as an associate of the Lord and as a demon. So he was in such an exalted state that externally it looked like he committed a Mahaparada to Shiva by criticizing him, criticizing Shiva, saying that, oh, how wonderful that Shiva in the midst of all pious people are having Parvati sit on his lap, right? So this was not an offense, because anarthas had already been eradicated, completely eradicated. So once this is this absolute state, Atyantiki stage, when it is Atyantiki, when he's got the association of the lotus feet of the Lord, there's no way the anarthas can again appear. Right? So the cause of the offense of Jaya and Vijaya was a manifestation of their personal desire derived from prema. So again, see, this was an offense, but this was not because of anartha. Jaya and Vijaya fell down not because of anartha, because of their personal desire derived from prema. What is the personal desire? They too desired, oh Lord of Lords, make us inimical to you and fulfill your desire to fight. This is the highest stage. Being his faithful servant, they could not tolerate to see any lack, whatever in the Lord's perfection. Lack meaning, why is the Lord wanting to fight? Oh, there is some lack. No. Can we be the instruments to fulfill that? So let your affection for your devotees diminish, and make this arrangement. So let your affection, because how Narayana will just let his devotees fall? No. Let your affection diminish. It is their desire. Let your affection diminish and make this arrangement so that we can fall down and then you can enjoy that fight with us. So this is all love. This is all love, right? Because once somebody has attained the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no question of anarthas. And attaining the lotus feet means literally attaining, like physically, like being there, right? Chitraketu, Jai Vijaya. So at that stage, only there cannot be any anarthas. We should understand those devotees who reach that stage, when they are saying something, we should not look at it as anarthas, offense, etc., because it's all arising from prema. Is that clear? Any question here? Anarthas arising from nama parada. In bhajana kriya, there is limited eradication. Nishtha, there is eradication is pervasive. Rati bhava, eradication general, meaning it becomes slightly more prominent, but appearance of prema only, it becomes complete, meaning all are the anarthas are gone, but still there is a chance of it reoccurring. Only with the attainment of the Lord's lotus feet, the eradication is absolute, which means that there is no chance of anarthas reoccurring. Okay, and this is anarthas arising from nama parada only. So how important it is for us to protect ourselves from nama parada, right? Otherwise, this will keep on troubling us. Nama parada, anarthas arising from nama parada will keep troubling us. We cannot make progress. So we have to make sure that we are not committing nama paradas.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, when we say nama aparada, it's basically the 10 offenses.
Yeah, 10 offenses
before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 offenses. Yeah, Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
What chance do we have then, Prabhu? Like it sounds a Namaprada, knowingly, unknowingly, even without wanting to ask, even without wanting to, like say chanting doesn't. Somewhere or the other, we at least I'm, like I could get into it, like screaming, shouting, or whatever it is. It sounds. It really sounds.
No, Mataji, so this is why so two things we've discussed so far, right? One is Nama Prada, which is done unconsciously. You just have to keep increase chanting. That's all, right? So if we are thinking that we are doing too many offenses, just don't take out your chanting bead from your hand. That's all. Chanting back from your hand. Simple, right? And if you are doing intentionally, for example, see, then we have to analyze, saying that which aspect of it is intentional. Right. So and yesterday we discussed, right, Sadhu Ninda, Guru Ravagya, which of the Namaprada is where I'm doing it intentionally, right? And again, the solution for this is actually again good chanting, right? So we have to just all we have to do to get rid of Namaprada, as long we should not do Sadhu Ninda, right? That we should try to avoid. Vaishnava Prada we should not do. That is mad offense, mad elephant offense, right? But apart from that, everything else will just it'll go by just becoming more and more serious in devotion. See, we should understand that our anarthas are powerful, but bhakti is super powerful. Bhakti is way, 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 way more powerful than our anarthas. So our anarthas are nothing. While we look at these things are being told so that we don't become neglectful of Namaprada. We don't become casual, careless about Namaprada. Right? But yeah, while it looks like really formidable, but bhakti process is so powerful. Bhakti process is so powerful. Right? And the process that Srila Prabhupada has given us, if we follow it properly, there's no way any of these anarthas can stand in front of us.
Now, Prabhuji, now you spoke about Bharat Maharaj's. You gave this.
Yeah.
Now he's come even he's just one step down to prema.
Yeah.
And what Namaprada could he have had minus a fraction of it, and still he took 2 births to get back to God. Then what are we going to do? How many million births or something, Prabhu?
Yes.
And how much of Namaprada we have?
Yeah.
And like at least sometimes when you're caught in a material world, you like somebody, you dislike somebody, that even you're trying to overcome that hate, it is a prada, isn't it? Whether you dislike X and you're always taunting him, or how you've done this to me, you've done this to my children, it is nama prada, and you want to work on it.
Okay, let me just clarify that. Let me just clarify. If it is not a devotee, then it's just a sin. That's all. It could be a sin. That's all.
But it's a sin, no?
Sin is.
It is.
Okay. No. We have to distinguish this, please. Offenses. See, okay. Now, offenses and sins. These are two different things, right? So offenses are very, very difficult to overcome. Sins are not. Sins, Krishna is saying, Sarvadharman Pariteja Mamekam Chanum Ram Tam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayashyami. So Krishna will knock off all the sins. Sins we don't even have to worry. As long as we are doing the process of devotion, actually sins are getting destroyed. We might be committing sins are getting destroyed. But that is why we should not keep doing sins on the strength of the holy name. But if you are just ignorantly just doing it, no problem. It'll go off. It'll all get destroyed. We don't have to worry about sins. We have to be worried only about apradhas, right? And apradhas we can't be casual, right? So if your concern is just the way you're dealing with other people, relatives, and this and that, that's okay. That'll go, right? But we have to be very careful dealing with Vaishnavas. We have to be very careful about nama apradhas. Right, and we talked about Bharat Maharaj. What is the reason why Bharat Maharaj fell? Can somebody say?
He's renunciated everything. He's renunciated and he got caught in a deer.
No, what is the reason why he?
No association of devotees.
No association. This is the problem. There is nothing else which can pull us down. There's nothing else which can pull us down. It's just our stupid mind. And when does the mind misbehave? When we are alone.
Yes.
Right. So we should just not give up the lotus feet of the devotees around us. We should just hold on to devotees, whatever it is. I make it a point, when I'm disturbed for some reason, if I'm not able to get myself under control, by my own sadhana, by my own reading, etc., I make sure that I have two devotees in my life, right? Whether whatever it is, I just open up and tell them whatever the most dirtiest thing that might be there in my mind, I will tell it to them. And I've seen time and again that it just helps so much, and these devotees are also, it's not that they're more advanced or less advanced, but we are there for each other. And we know that when they are in trouble, they talk to, so we're three of us. So one, and fortunately, I am connected to two of them. They are connected to me. So yeah, I get double support, right? I get support from two people, right? And it just helps. It just prevents us from going down. That was the main problem with Bharat Maharaj. Yes, he was at the stage of bhava, but he gave up association. So that actually highlights how important association, quality association is. If we have quality association, there's no way we can fall down. There's no way. Because those devotees are going to pull us out. They're going to pull us out. They're not going to give us up, right? Because it's quality association, right? Which is why if somebody like I'm in touch with so many devotees, by chance some devotees go out of like they're not conversing, talking to me for whatever 1 week or something, I get worked up, and then I call the devotee saying, is everything okay? I've not been able to see you for 2 weeks, for 1 week. Where are you? What is going on? Right? Because see, actually we'd never know at what point of time what will hit us, right? If devotees don't understand that we have to be proactive, we have to be proactive. It's my life of bhakti, right? Many times I've seen as devotees, we ourselves are not responsible or concerned about our own bhakti, but we are fortunate if there are other devotees in our life who are more concerned about us than we ourselves are, and they will catch hold of us. But it is that see, actually I've been reading Bhagavatam, and everywhere prayers. What is Prahlad Maharaj asking? Oh, what are all the great devotees asking? They're just asking, give me association. Give me association. Nothing else. Let me not forget your lotus feet. Give me association. Give me association. Give me association. We should not underestimate this association. And that is the reason why this process is so powerful. Process is powerful. We have to just simply stick to it. And that is the reason why it's nice to have a devotee community. Devotee community where you're living together day in, day out with devotees. It's a double-edged sword, but if we can get used to that kind of living environment, it's super powerful. We will never go down. We'll never go down. Madhvas, they traditionally, they all stay together in some, they've just come together. We'll see around their mutts. They just somehow, they're not interested in building their own houses and this. They just want to be near a temple community, right? And they just take whatever house for rent. That their criteria, anukulis, sankalpa, pratikulis, or janam, is not whether they have their own house. It's whether are they near to temple community, to devotees. Why? So that they're always in constant touch with devotees, day in, day out. So this is something that is lacking for many of us, right? So that is the only thing which can protect us. That is the only thing which can protect us. And that is also very powerful. It can pull us also. It can pull us. Like if you're stuck in bhajana kriya and we are not making more, but provided we are sincere. I mean, I should want to make progress to Nishtha, right? Then I can make use of the association. Very powerful.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, anything else? Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So, since this is all aligned towards Nama Aparadha and the 10 offenses, like, how do we reduce it? It's very, very easy for us to do that. aparadas. Even though I sit with conscious mind saying that I read my 10 offenses and then start chanting, max to max 1 round, 2 rounds, maybe we can focus towards it. But after that, it's back to
No.
square one.
Again, we are getting confused. So there are two parts to this. There is Namaparada and there is inattentive chanting. Right. So
Okay.
don't combine the two. Okay. Inattentive chanting actually is not as offensive. Of course, it is offensive, but it's not as offensive as the 10 Namaparadas. So 10 Namaparadas don't happen during chanting. 10 Namaparadas happen during the rest of the day.
Practice. Okay. Got it.
During how we live life. The 10 Namaparadas are about how we live life. What is our thought process? What is our understanding of philosophy? Right. So please go through the 10 offenses.
Yeah.
Go through the 10 offenses. The 11th offense, which is inattentive chanting, Prabhupada said it is also offensive to be inattentive during chanting.
Right.
Okay. But the inoffensive chanting goes off in course of time. It's not that inoffensive chanting will inattentive chanting will not prevent us from making progress. What is going to prevent us from making progress are the other 10 aparadas, which is actually the way of life, our thought process, etc., right? Inattentive chanting will automatically go off when the other 10 stop. With repeated chanting, inattentive chanting will go off.
Got it, Prabhu. Understood. Okay.
Right. So we have to focus more on those 10 aparadas and Jiva Himsa. Actually, we should only focus on these. These are what can really prevent us from making progress. Right. The 10 aparadas and then Jiva Himsa, just not giving pain to any Jiva. Just not worth it. Just we being the cause for somebody's pain is not worth it, because we are going to not get Krishna by doing that. So we can just put this as a highlight in front of us. No Jiva Himsa, no 10 offenses. That's all. See, all of us want to make progress. It's not that we don't want to make progress. It's not that we are insincere, but we just stuck at different stages. But we have to make serious endeavor. We have to put effort. Where is our effort? Our effort seems to be limited to saying that I am not able to do it. Right? But that's not going to help us. Nobody's going to ask us, right? We have to get there. We have to get there. That's all. And this book we are reading because of that. The desire to want to get there is the only impetus, is the only thing that can actually give us the motivation, inspiration, drive to try and pull ourselves out of all the nonsense that we are in. And unfortunately, we have to first recognize that it's nonsense. If we don't recognize that it's nonsense, we are thinking, it's okay. It's not okay, because we're not going to get Krishna. We're not going to get the association of Radha and Krishna. The Dinabandhu Prabhu, His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu is in our temple, is giving classes, journey to Vrindavan. And I just look at him and I feel, where is he? He's just there in Vrindavan all the time with Radha and Krishna. Could he have got there if he had all these Amapradas, if he was, doing Jiva Himsa? No way. And if you just simply look at those devotees and, you just spend 30 seconds with him, around him, you'll feel so happy. You'll feel so happy. And that is why when we get an opportunity to interact with such exalted devotees, and we feel, oh, can I also become like that? How many of you have not interacted with His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu here in the group?
We have not interacted, Prabhu.
Okay.
I too have not interacted, Prabhu.
Okay.
Prabhu, I met him and I know him, but interaction, not really what to what.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, what I generally do is, when all these exalted, I don't ask anything. I just simply stand around them. I don't ask anything. I don't want to ask anything. I'll just simply sit, right at their below their nose, or they're answering questions. Other people are talking to them. I'll just be around. It's a very powerful process. You should try. Just, because when we are talking, we feel again focus comes on ourselves. So I don't want to talk. I want to just be there. just be there around them. Their energy, their, the whole thing will get infected, positively infected. Yeah, I do this even with like any exalted Vaishnavas. If His Holiness Jaipatak Maharaj is there, I just want to be there. I don't want to talk. I'm nobody to talk to any of these great souls, right? But I just want to be there. I just want to be there near them. And their power, the power of their bhakti and everything. We know that there's a aura, right? There's a field around them, field of energy, field of, and it just affects us. Just affects us.
Shall I add here something?
Yeah, please, Prabhu. Please.
Once, as you said, staying near. When I was in personal service of my Guru Maharaj, in my Vyas Puja offering, I said in Mayapur. Everybody started laughing. I said, when he's sleeping, still I sit there and chanting slowly. I said, I get energy actually that way. I used to sleep in his room in Mayapur, and I used to sit in his room just simply and go on chatting and watching it. I said, I used to enjoy that way. Everybody started laughing. I said, it's not a matter of life. I am enjoying actually when he's sleeping and I'm sitting with him actually.
No, because that their real happiness, because they're on that platform, that energy is all around, right? Which is why all those great souls like Anukul Prabhu here, who have been able to get the opportunity of serving these exalted Vaishnavas in close quarters for how much ever time it is, whether it is 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, doesn't matter. It's so powerful. It's so powerful, right? So, and it will just pull us. That association, that service that we have done, actually will pull us out of all our life's difficulties. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. So Matajis don't have to feel bad. We don't have to do personal service. But even if we are just around publicly, they are there. We can just be around somewhere.
I have no right to say that whatever service he done, these are exalted devotees, so many sannyasis, my Guru Maharaj. My wife is able to pull through because of that personal service he done to so many sannyasis.
Nice.
They used to stay with me.
Very nice.
She is able to stay in Krishna consciousness by swinging here, there, like that way, but still she continued with chanting and like that way. Because of
that
these
mercy,
exalted devotees, I am grateful that which service Krishna and those devotees gave me actually.
Very nice. Yes, Prabhu. So this power is there. So we should never, we should always take advantage of this. Whenever they are there, we should take advantage because that is there. So that association, that is the power of association. Right? We'll get positively affected.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, he's like the cat out of the bag. My sense gratifications are like much higher than what he is. He's quite simple, and I get carried away. And many a times, what happens when you're carried. The first thing which goes, I don't want to chant. I want to be here. And it's only because of Vaishnavas like you, the saying that Krishna has been merciful, and I am in the process. I'm surviving the process. Thank you, Prabhu.
Because of great Vaishnavas, you had the opportunity to serve. Nobody.
No, Prabhuji. Like it's just, I don't know what it is. It is, and I'm not chewing words, Prabhu. Like I'm being very open. I'm not an exalted. I'm not a good devotee. And my only reason I'm still surviving is the mercy of you all of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Prabhu, one thing you mentioned it. I told this to Prabhu also. I said, Prabhu, aapke liye bola. I said, I see him there. He hangs around and then he just disappears. So today you mentioned it, and now I know what the reason is. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay. The eradication of the anarthas arising from previous sin is as follows. Now, we discussed about eradication of anarthas arising from nama aparada. Very long standing, takes a lot of time. Now see, look at sin, right? Sins get eradicated so fast. This is what I was saying. Performance of bhajana kriya, eradication is general. When for the anarthas arising from nama prada, at the stage of bhajana kriya, it was limited. It just started. Okay, now with the appearance of nishtha, eradication is complete. Right? So sins just go off like this. You have to just come to the stage of nishtha, eradication is complete. Then asakti, as soon as asakti appears, it's over. It's over. The anarthas arising from previous sins stop. So all the nonsense that we do just ends with asakti. So we don't have to worry about that. It's very small. It's very insignificant. It just go. Okay, so that is why we have to look out for apradhas. We have to be really careful about nama apradhas. So this is applicable for both previous sin and pious, right? Now the eradication of anarthas arising from bhakti, that is imperfectly doing bhakti, is with the performance of bhajana kriya, eradication is limited. So this is also a little bit dangerous initially, but appearance of nishtha, it becomes complete. So this lab puja pratishtha, right? It just becomes complete, and then ruchi, not even asakti, ruchi, it is absolute. So while this might seem daunting, the anarthas arising from bhakti, which is lab puja pratishtha, at the appearance of ruchi, it's all gone. Right? Here at the appearance of asakti, it's all gone. When I'm saying it's all gone, with no chance of reappearing. So anarthas arising from previous sin is all gone at the stage of asakti. Anarthas arising from imperfect bhakti are all gone at the stage of ruchi. Nishtha, ruchi, asakti. Right? So the most difficult one is the nama parada, which is till we achieve the lotus feet of the Lord, it's there, lingering. Okay, one may raise the objection that these stages of extinguishing anarthas do not apply to devotees, quoting such verses as, with one utterance of the holy name, all sins are destroyed. Pratyavali, if one hears the holy name even one time, an outcast can obtain liberation from the material world. Also, in the case of Ajamila, simply by his uttering the Lord's name once in Namabhasa, all anarthas, even up to avidya, ignorance, were removed, and he attained the lotus feet of the Lord. So basically, Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving some objection that somebody might say, saying that these stages, they do not apply to devotees, quoting all this. This is all true. This is all true. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying this is all true. One should have no doubt that the holy name has such inestimable power. But because the holy name is unhappy with the offenses committed against it, it does not manifest its complete power in the offenders. This is the key. That is why these aparadhas are very dangerous. So we're chanting the holy name. If you're chanting the holy name without offenses, then it's liberation. We get liberated, right? Nama bhasa, inoffensive chanting, even once, please observe this, even once in nama bhasa, liberation. But we should not commit offenses. If you commit offenses, then the holy name is not going to manifest its complete power. This is the reason why the sinful tendencies continue their existence. Even once, we should understand, see, even once. It's not consistent, it's just once. Even if you have uttered the holy name once without offenses in Nama Bhas, then it can eradicate everything. But the problem is that we continue to do offenses. We chanted once in Nama Bhas, then again we fall down to Nama Parad. That's not going to help. Right? Continue their existence, but though these tendencies continue for some time, the servants of death have no power to attack such person. This we know from Ajamila. They don't come. Yamaraja, Yamadutas will not touch. Who only once absorb their mind. See, only once, please note this. Only once in our whole life of bhakti, wouldn't we have absorbed ourselves just once in Krishna's lotus feet? Obviously, we would have. Even if it occurs in dream, even if it occurs in dreams, even though the mind still has material attraction, do not see the servants of Yama. So that is very clear. We will, none of us will, Yamadutas will not come near any of us. Okay, the case of the offender losing the mercy of the name is similar to a subordinate who is offensive to his wealthy master. See, he's denied proper care and is treated indifferently by the master. Indifferent treatment because we are offensive. As a result of the withdrawal of mercy, that person suffers poverty and distress of all sorts. Interesting. At the same time, however, people not under the jurisdiction of wealthy master do not suffer such hardships. So look at this. So we are under a master. Okay, if we are under the master and if we are still offensive, then we are denied care, proper care, and we are treated indifferently by the master. And what happens? People suffer poverty and distress of all sorts. At the same time, people not under the jurisdiction of a wealthy master do not suffer such hardships. But if the offending servant serves his master in a pleasing manner, the master gradually shows mercy and that person's suffering is step by step eliminated. In the same way, the offending devotee will at first suffer some miseries, but if he performs sincere service to the spiritual master, devotees and to the scriptures, the name will again gradually manifest mercy and gradually eliminate his evil tendencies. Thus, the arguments against the gradual elimination of anarthas holds no ground. So it is gradual for us because we are doing offenses. But we should be sincere. We should try to avoid and sincere service to spiritual master devotees. This is what we are talking about. If you can sincerely serve Guru, Vaishnavas and Shastra, then the name will gradually manifest mercy. Right? That is why Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado. But it's also important to understand the desire of the spiritual master. Yeah, it's like Narada Muni, Haryashwas, Daksha's sons. Daksha says, go and get progeny. Then Narada Muni tells him saying that you didn't understand your father's order. He actually wants you to perfect your life with Krishna consciousness. It's like that. So we have to understand that it's difficult for us to understand the desire of the spiritual master. We have to be very, very pure to understand. Otherwise, we will misinterpret that also. But if we can do sincere service to spiritual master, devotees and scriptures, then the name will manifest mercy. So we should try to avoid all the nama pradas as much as possible. If for example, obviously sadhu ninda guru ravagya and all can't be, a hopeless state, right? But suppose aham and mama, right? This material attachment, it will get eliminated. All we have to do is just do sincere service to spiritual master, devotees, and to scriptures. Sincere service to scriptures, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Read Bhagavatam every day. Till the day we give up this body, we should be reading Bhagavatam. Obviously, when we do this, name, which is non-different from the Lord, will manifest mercy and gradually eliminate all evil tendencies. That is why this because of the anarthas, because of sin and imperfect bhakti and all that, they will get eliminated because name will manifest mercy. So it's very, very nice. So we should serve. So the point to remember here is sincere service to Guru, Vaishnavas, and Shastra. One should not say, I've committed no offenses. One can infer the existence of either recent or long-standing offenses by their effect. The effect of offenses is that a person will not manifest symptoms of prema by performance of nama kirtana. So this also shows that we have offenses. Because actually by doing nama kirtana, one should manifest symptoms of prema. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says. Right? He started chanting, suddenly manifested prema, right? Symptoms of prema. He goes back to his guru and says, what is happening? Because he was doing unoffensively, without offenses. In other words, repeatedly hearing and chanting the Lord's name and qualities should quickly give prema. See, please look at this. We are worried about all our anarthas, etc. Look at this. Repeatedly hearing and chanting should quickly give prema. But the problem is our nama prada. Serving for a long time the sacred tirthas bestow perfection, right? Like, or taking bath in the Ganges after a long time. But repeated chanting and hearing of Lord's name and qualities should give quickly. Tasting repeatedly the ghee, milk, and beetle prasadam offered to the Lord destroys all desires for sense enjoyment. Look at this. Ghee, milk, beetle, of course, we are not allowed to take, but I don't know why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that. But we can do this. We can offer ghee and milk to the Lord and then just keep having that prasadam. It destroys all desires for sense enjoyment. Anybody stuck with sense enjoyment, we can try this. By what offenses do all these spiritually potent activities become material? The question is asked with astonishment and trembling, meaning it's so powerful that it has to simply work. It will simply work. Right? So if we are stuck with sense enjoyment, we got a remedy here, ghee milk. If you're stuck with lusty desires, just look at the eyebrow of Krishna. If you're stuck with false ego, just pray to Sankarshan. Bhagavatam is giving all secrets. Right? But if just as long as we don't do, we somehow protect ourselves from Nama Prada, Nama will manifest mercy and quickly we will get prema. So the key is to just avoid these Nama Pradas. That's all. If this is so, one may then argue that if these offenses are so serious, then a person who commits a Nama Prada becomes hostile to the Lord and thus cannot even take shelter of Guru or perform devotional service. This is true. Just as during a serious fever, losing all taste for food, it becomes impossible to eat. A person who commits a serious offense loses all possibility of hearing, chanting, and performing devotional activities. See, if there's a serious offense, then he loses the possibility. And maybe then, all our offenses are not so serious, but they are there. They're there and they're preventing our progress. So we should be careful. But if there's a serious offense, then the person will lose possibility of hearing, possibility, not taste, possibility of hearing, chanting, and performing devotional activities. There's no doubt about this. However, if the fever lessens after a long time, some taste for food develops. After experiencing the effects of aparadha from many days, the effects lessen and the person develops a little taste for bhakti to the Lord. That person then becomes qualified for bhakti. So even if you have done offenses, if you have lost taste, regained taste, that person becomes qualified for bhakti. So we don't have to go dig our past and say, I was like this, I was like that. No, it's fine. We were like that for whatever reason and we were overcome that. Now we are on the path. We've developed again little taste for bhakti. That means that Lord has accepted us. Now we can make progress. Even then, nourishing foods like milk and rice cannot give their full power of nourishment to the person suffering from the lessened fever. They bestow some benefit but cannot relieve him of his wasted condition. By an invalid's diet and medicine, however, with time, these foods can have full nourishing effect. In the same way, after a long period of suffering the effects of aparadha, the devotee becomes qualified for bhakti. Repeated doses of hearing and chanting the Lord's name and performance of other devotional process gradually with time reveal everything up to prema. So that's all the process is. We have to just stick along. Yesterday, Dinabandhu was saying, what is our qualification? If a son has to inherit father's property, what is the qualification? He has to just live, just to be alive. That's all. So we have to just live in the association of devotees, just hang around somehow, right? And just be sincere and repeated hearing, chanting. Obviously, we'll come to the stage of prema. Thus, it is correctly said, Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya. Right? First, there's association with devotees by which one gains faith. Then one associates with devotees to learn the scriptures, then practices bhakti, the anarthas and that destroyed. Study bhakti without confusion follows. Nishta is study bhakti without confusion. Right? Desire for the Lord appears. Ruchi. This is followed by spontaneous desire. See, beautiful. We find it difficult to understand what ruchi and asakti is. Simply, desire for the Lord is ruchi. Spontaneous desire for the Lord is asakti. This becomes bhava and then prema. This is the progression for manifesting prema for those performing sadhana. Okay, I think I'll stop here. Oh, okay, there's one more page. Let me finish. However, the absence of symptoms of prema and traces of sinful activity in devotees who are practicing devotional service such as kirtana cannot always be attributed to namaparad, nor can the presence of material distresses always be attributed to lack of destruction of previous karmas. For instance, though Ajamila was without offenses, he did not manifest the symptoms of prema, even though he named his son Narayana and called that name many times every day. Moreover, he also inclined to a sinful relationship with a prostitute, and Yudhishthira, though free from past karmic reactions, had to suffer many material miseries. Just as a fruit-bearing tree bears fruit in due time, the holy name, though pleased with an offenseless person, please note this, the holy name, though pleased with an offenseless person, will reveal its mercy to him after some time. So if we are not doing any offenses, if everything is clear, clean, still we might not experience prema because the holy name will reveal mercy in some time, after some time. Since the heaps of sinful reactions which are to be experienced due to previous bad practices are factually reduced to insignificance by the process of bhakti, like the bite of a serpent without his poison fangs, the sickness, lamentation, and other sufferings undergone by devotees are not due to sins in previous life. The Lord himself has said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. Basically, this is just mercy. This is just mercy. Any suffering, sickness, lamentation, other sufferings undergone by devotees are not due to previous sins. It's just that the Lord is doing all this because, we have to develop attachment to him. That's all. It's not because of sinful reactions. Krishna. It's not because of sinful reactions. It's because we are attached to something and which are preventing us from being attached to Krishna. So it's just Krishna's special mercy for all devotees. All devotees. It's also said the person with the malady of poverty is the object of my mercy. See, when we are suffering, we call out to the Lord more feelingly. Since the Lord thinking of the welfare of his devotee in order to increase his humility and longing for the Lord. We got the answer for all our suffering in our life. Simply these two. Humility and longing for the Lord. Bestows on him all sorts of suffering as his mercy. The suffering is not the effect of sinful actions in previous life. Amazing. I mean, that is why, these just some statements like this just floor. Anyway. Okay, so let me just recap because I read a lot. In 5 minutes, I'll just recap. So we started here, anarthas from bhakti. So basically, which is la puja pratishtha. Then there are all these anarthas, 4 types of anarthas, which is arising from previous sinful activity, pious activity, nama prada, and imperfect cultivation of bhakti, have 5 grades of eradication: limited, pervasive, general, complete, and absolute. When it is absolute only, that particular anartha will not reoccur. Even if it is complete, there's a chance that it can reoccur. Okay. So anarthas arising from namaparada are the most difficult. We have to be very careful about them. They become absolute only when we attain the attainment of Lord's lotus feet. Even in prema, it is purna, which means that it is still there is chances. And obviously, any stage before is just different stages of getting rid of the anarthas arising from namaparada. So these namaparadas have to be stopped. Right? Then from previous sin, it becomes absolute at that stage of asakti. Because anarthas arising from bhakti become absolute at the stage of ruchi, the appearance of ruchi, right? And one may object that these stages are not for devotees by quoting statements which say that even with one utterance of the holy name, all sins are destroyed, etc., which is true. But because we are committing offenses, the effect, namaprada, doesn't manifest its complete power. So we have to stop these aparadas, right? And come to namabhasa. So if we stop namaparada, you come to namabhasa. So namaparada is the most difficult of all the anarthas. So we have to stop namaparada and we have to come to namabhasa. Till we give up the stage of offenses, the holy name will not bestow its mercy, right? And we might even suffer hardships, etc. But that is all just so that we come to the stage of sincere service to the spiritual master, devotees, and scriptures. And then the name will gradually manifest its mercy and it will eliminate all evil tendencies. So this is one very important thing, right? And yeah, if there are serious offenses, then we lose possibility. We lose all possibility of hearing, chanting, and performing devotional activities. And as that offense, as we have suffered, then we might again develop a little taste. And then by repeated doses of hearing and chanting and performance devotional activities, everything will be revealed up to the stage of prema. So we have to just hang around, right? And ruchi means desire for Lord. Asakti means spontaneous desire for Lord. Okay, and lastly, um, we should develop prema very quickly. But sometimes the holy name, not sometimes, mostly the holy name doesn't reveal its mercy. It reveals after some time. And also they'll whatever suffering. So if somebody is not doing any offenses, it might still not mean that he has come to the stage of prema, because the holy name takes time to reveal its mercy. And if somebody is suffering, if a devotee, surrendered devotee is suffering, it's not because of its sinful reactions. It's just because the Lord wants to increase his humility and longing. So he bestows on him all sorts of suffering as his mercy. So it's his mercy. Suffering is not the effect of sinful actions in previous life. Okay. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, I had two questions. So first question is, can we have prema as well as do nama parada?
No. That's why I said you can't be doing nama parada. Nama parada should have stopped. The anarthas from nama parada might still be there.
Okay.
I mean, it's simply saying like I love somebody and I beat the person from the other side. Doesn't make sense.
Got it.
Lord doesn't like any of this. Lord doesn't like any of this nama paradas, because it's all it's offending to his dear devotees, to his creation, to I mean, it's just incompatible to prema.
Understood. Okay, Prabhu. Got it. That's one. And the second one is, you are also mentioning that Jiva Himsa, right?
Yeah.
So with respect to that, I'm trying to demarcate whether, since we are in the material world, we tend to operate with or be in association with devotees and non-devotees.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe the definition of Jiva Aparada, what I am thinking
Jiva
is
Himsa.
Yeah, Jiva Himsa is what I'm thinking is, if I am trying to put some Jiva in an uncomfortable position or not treating them the way they're supposed to, that is leading to it. Right? So
that is Jiva Himsa. So the important thing there to understand is how that Jiva has to be treated. That knowledge is important, right? So we are not going to worship a snake or a scorpion, right? We're not going to put our arms around and have pally talks with a lion or tiger, right? So we treat each jiva according to the body it has received, but we respect everybody. But we have to treat our relationship should be based on the body acquired. Position also depends on whether what we are positioned. For example, if you're a father, mother, then that position of Jiva Himsa is their Jiva Himsa is when we don't give proper guidance to the children. That is Jiva Himsa. So Jiva Himsa is a very difficult concept to understand. It just doesn't mean that I will just not hurt anybody at all, right? I might have to hurt somebody to correct them, right? Provided I'm in the position of correcting. So that also we should understand. So that is why sadhus have a different role to play. Sadhus might make people uncomfortable, but that's their role, right? So if the intention is actually good, intention is to help the person move forward on the path of bhakti, and time, place, circumstance. It's not like very cut and dry in the Jiva Himsa. But of course, I mean, like some non-devotee, something just because of false ego, we just snap at him and speak rudely. All that is not required.
Okay. Because of the situation, sometimes the intent is right, but it is not well taken, right, from the other persons.
That
So
is okay. That is okay.
will that also be Jiva Himsa, or
Yeah. I mean, it will be Jiva Himsa if we are. See, that is why the situation. If the situation is such that our words cannot be understood by that person, we should not speak.
okay,
Especially material setup, material relations,
yeah.
etc. Right? We have to be very careful. We have to possibly create a atmosphere, environment for them to be willing to hear. Then we can speak. Right? But that's not true with children, for example. Right? That's not true with our immediate family, loved ones who know us and our intentions. Right? But at the same time, still see anything we want to communicate to anybody else, there's a way of doing it. Right? And if it is done the right way, mostly there are high chances that it can be accepted. Even if it is not accepted, it will not be offensive. It will just be a conversation of, okay, you go your way, I go my way, but it's cordial.
Understood, Prabhu. Okay.
And then that person might not feel offended or pained or hurt. That is why that humility is very important. Actually, if we have humility, then we will be able to manage everything. Because of we are striding on our false ego. That's our problem.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So just in a lighter vein, Prabhuji.
Prabhu?
You are correcting us every day, so we are it's not Jiva Himsa actually.
No, sorry, Prabhu.
Lighter way.
Okay.
The good is our benefit, actually. Whatever you're doing, actually, is our benefit.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay. Anything else? Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Regarding Jiva Himsa, like sometimes it happens like while performing bhakti also, some people doesn't like and like we say that we should avoid the association of non-devotees. So we try to initially communicate, but later we stay away. Then they also don't feel good, and they might get hurt. So that is also Jiva Himsa. Or we do some little more bhakti, or do little more. They think that they are like that.
Okay. Yeah. See, one thing is very important. No, in the midst of all this, we should not sacrifice our bhakti. That is why Krishna finally says Sarvadharman Parityaja. Right? While all these are important, but not at the expense of our bhakti. Right? If because of somebody near and dear ones, if you are getting stuck or if you are getting pulled down from the platform of bhakti, then that's not good. As long as it is manageable, it's okay. Give and take. For example, I'll give you an example, right? Like, for example, I don't like when somebody disturbs me when I chant at home, anywhere, right? For example. But I see that, for example, inevitably my mom at home, she doesn't bother whether I'm chanting or not. She wants to say something, she'll just come and speak. Initially, I used to get very, very irritated. Now also I get irritated, but now I've reduced my showing that irritation, right? So I'll just, and some other time I'll tell her, maybe if it is not urgent, if I'm chanting, it's okay if you don't disturb me, right? But if it continuously keeps happening like that, then we have to figure out a solution. We can't just say that, okay, it's my mom, so it's okay. Like, let her interrupt me 1,000 times while I'm chanting. No, not acceptable. That okay, Srishti Mataji? Did I answer your question?
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. See, but one more thing very important is we carry a responsibility of, people will look at us and say, okay, these are devotees and they, did this. For example, they left the association with their parents or in-laws or whatever. So those things also have to be managed, right? So it's very tricky. It's very tricky. So we should pray. And of course, I mean, guru, senior devotees, mentors are supposed to be consulted for all this. I can't give a generic answer.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
And Prabhuji, one more thing. What is the difference between bhava and a prema?
Yeah, we'll come to that.
Okay, Prabhuji.
We'll come to that later. So this book will discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm
Prabhu,
happy
time
you.
for a question?
Yeah. I have all the time.
Prabhuji, we keep talking about humility.
Yeah.
What exactly is it inborn, and how do we cultivate it? It's very difficult.
Okay. Mataji, one thing I want to suggest to you, apart from other things I'm suggesting. Prabhupada said, what is the difficulty? Right? So there's nothing which is difficult. Okay, so difficulty is all in our mind. Okay, see, humility is the first of all, what is humility? Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita says humility means willingness to follow instructions of Guru and Krishna. That is humility.
Yes.
Okay, number one. So which means that instructions given to us by our Guru, Srila Prabhupada, senior Vaishnavas, superiors, etc. Our willingness to follow that is humility. Not wanting to follow that is false ego, pride. Okay, this is the first one. Second thing is humility is not necessarily external. Okay, humility, external humility is okay. It can be an added benefit, but the actual humility is internal. And what is that humility? That I am nobody. What is my position? I am just servant of Krishna. Right? So if we are constantly fixed in this position, saying that I don't have any other upadhi, I don't have any other designation, I don't want any other designation in this material world, I just want to remain a servant of Krishna and Guru and Vaishnavas. If that is the only position we want, we really hanker for, then automatically humility develops. The lack of humility is because we want to side by side, want to hold so many positions in this material world. And when we want to hold those positions in the material world, obviously that position will bring false pride. Right? Many times because of ignorance, yesterday I read one quote from Prabhupada. I think I put it in the group saying that leaders, people in responsible position should not think that they are proprietors, but they should think they are servants. It was a hard hitting statement by Prabhupada because we think that we are proprietors, we're owners. Yeah, if there's a temple, I'm the servant. I should be the most qualified servant. Right? If I have a center, I should be the most qualified servant there, not the most qualified proprietor or owner. So that actually, because I have myself been facing challenges dealing with other devotees, and I realized saying that this seems to be the answer. That I just want to be a servant. How does a servant interact with other servants? Cordially. Right? So when we can understand these things, right, humility automatically develops. We have to be in this platform, right? See, we have to rewrite our thought process of life, our how we look at life, right? And if we are giving too much importance to our position on the material platform, it becomes very difficult to give up that pride, and so humility will not manifest. So humility simply means I'm the servant of Guru and Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas and Krishna. That's all. And stick to that position. How do we develop? By wanting to develop, first one. Because most of our problem starts with we don't want to sincerely develop. We just have, I want one leg here also and one leg there. That's not possible. So simple. How do we practice amanina manadena? Somebody is not respecting. Can I try to respect? Yes, we will fail 1,000 times. We'll fail a zillion times. It's okay. We can keep trying. By reading, Srimad Bhagavatam, again, answer to all our difficulties is the same. We have to just put it into practice. A sincere chanting, sincere shravanam, association of good devotees. All these will come out of all this. It's not very difficult. But we have to be very conscious. Like I was saying, most of the times we are unconscious, semi-conscious or materially conscious. Right? So that we should reduce. And like I answered before, just more repeated shravanam will actually help us. And I used to do one trick. Right, cheating Maya. I used to have a cheat sheet. I used to write down on a piece of paper and stick it in front of me wherever I'm sitting in my office, wherever, right? If it is office, then it's on my laptop, screensaver, something. If it is at home, then it's on a sheet of paper which is stuck on my cupboard or wherever I'm spending most of my time, right? Maybe on my work table, etc. Right, and it just tells me all these things that I need to follow. All important things, most important things at this point, stage in my life, what stage in my bhakti, what all are things that I have to absolutely follow. I used to write them down. Now it's registered in my head, right? I don't write them externally, but I know that these are the 5 things I'm working on currently, right? So those things should be very clearly in front of us, so that we keep staring at them again and again, and we give up that forgetfulness. Then we will remember, okay, I am the servant, I'm not the master. Why am I jumping up and down? Then we will give some other reason for that. This is my responsibility. Yeah, it's my responsibility, but can't I be cordial? Should I only be, spiteful? Should I always be So yeah, so some of these reasonings we can give to ourselves, whatever convinces us, and just keep trying. But again, a shortcut is Shravanam. Shravanam and association. It's a shortcut. All our personal effort can reduce if you're doing quality Shravanam and good association. Our personal effort will reduce. We will more easily achieve the same thing than with lesser personal struggle.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, two questions from you actually.
Yes, Prabhu.
One senior person in temple, I told him 10 to 15 times at least, please don't cross DT kitchen actually. Don't have any service in DT kitchen.
Okay.
He didn't listen. He comes, I probably was telling, like that way it was going on. One day I went for some class and morning I saw, twice he passed, then he comes and tells me sorry. I said, why are you telling me sorry? Maybe my voice was a little louder. I said, Lord, so sorry. I said, I told you at least 50 times, please, Prabhuji, can. And I said, I asked you a question also. Temple president also. Okay, anybody cross over this kitchen? And he said, no. Then I said, why we are doing here actually? He said, I said, you should answer. So that is offense when I just told him just in louder voice.
No. I see. I mean, see in political this in Prahlad Maharaj this one, right? That we know that Sama, Beda, Danda, right? So in first you told nicely. You told nicely multiple times, right? And if somebody is not hearing, I mean, it's our duty when we are standing in those positions. Actually, yeah, you generally very nice, right? You give people a very long rope. You let people give a lot of time for people to correct themselves. But it's a very simple thing. You can just put a full stop. We have to put a full stop because certain things, certain nonsense cannot be encouraged. Right, and we have to put a full stop, and that putting full stop is each of our styles. We can do whatever is best possible in the situation, but because the intention is correct, I mean, if there's a little bit discrepancy in the way we approached it, I'm sure the Lord will forgive, right? And we will also feel like, okay, maybe if there were two people, if there was one more person alongside, maybe we shouldn't have spoken like that in front of another person. Maybe if that is the only thing, maybe that change can be brought about. But if it is just two of you and you directly told that person slightly sternly, it's perfectly fine, because it didn't look like he understood by nice words, right?
Thank you. Another point is that generally, if we meet senior devotees like they sometimes they say they're in cool temple, so and so's temple, but when I say they're in cool, I want to come to your temple, I say Prabhu is Prabhupada temple. But sometimes in the week, some unknowingly or something say, okay, my temple, and like that way. So that also becomes a pride or attachment to.
It will be if it is just happening, just okay, unconsciously, unknowingly. But it's, see, as long as these things, yesterday, somebody, one of the devotees called and said, we put a TV, we put some display TV in our center. Then I said, okay, we should discuss these expensive investments. We can't just go and. He said, no, Prabhu, I'll take care of it. I said, it's whether it's your money or my money or somebody else's money, it's all Krishna's money. And we have to use it in the right way. And then eventually he said, sorry, Prabhu, we did without asking you. I said, see, it's not about asking me. You also have to feel same attachment to the center as I have. You also have to have same ownership, right? If all that is there, then, I won't have to tell all this. So as long as I'm feeling that it's my responsibility and I'm not feeling pride like, okay, I have done this. As long as that pride is not there, it's okay. Even if I say my center, but one of the things that I learned from Shastra actually is, like I told this before also, that we should try to change active voice to passive voice. Meaning, instead of saying my center, what will he say? Is center given to me, right? Center given to me automatically will become center given to us, because we will not feel like saying center given to me, because then me becomes like, we feel like it's too egoistic. Then we'll say this center which is given to us. Automatically, our mindset also will change. So little bit change in language will also help, right? But as long as it's not driving us to feel excessively proud, saying that, my center, this, that, my temple, by chance, sometimes these things are happening, I think it can be ignored, bro. That's my understanding.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because generally I say Prabhupada center. I said I'm not owner. Prabhupada is owner.
Yeah.
Generally, and somebody tells me also, pray. You are prayed. I said, Baba, this is a service which Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj gave me to do. Service. You're just a designation actually.
No problem. I don't think you as a person, I don't think you will be affected. But if you feel like that, you can just change the word from my to our.
Okay.
It's also easy. Actually, if you just say our temple, then it's okay. It will also remove that externally. Also, you will not feel that why am I using this word my?
No,
Just our
generally I
temple.
does not say my. I always say Prabhupada center. But
Okay, that's
but
okay, bro.
sometimes
Then
it comes out from my
it's okay. It's okay. Maybe just practice, or just not intentional. It's okay.
Okay, thank you, bro.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll close. It's already like 1.5 hours. Don't believe this.
Actually, your class can go full day, I think. I generally I cannot sit more than 40 minutes, 45 minutes. But in your class, I can sit 1 hour, 2 hours. I have no problem, because first of the interactive. First of the I enjoy that kind of discussions with. That is the most point of in the class actually.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay,
Thank
you.
Thank you, and sorry,
Thank you.
Prabhu, we steal so much of your time.
Still, it's not my time, like Manukul Prabhu said. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Koಟಿ Vaishnava ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.